Hey everybody, Zeal Brothers here once again. This one a little bit of celebrity news. Want to talk about our boy Alec Baldwin, how he shot somebody and killed somebody on a movie set. A lot of you guys may know about this story, but this story is very interesting to me for a few reasons. The first reason that is interesting to me is why the heck would a loaded gun need to be on a movie, in a movie anyway? And the reason I ask that question is because when you talk about movies, when you talk about Hollywood, they are very good at making things that are not real look real. So I don't get the advantage of having a loaded gun on the set. But the other thing is, let's take the loaded part out of it. I don't get the advantage of having a real gun on a set. And I will tell you why. Because a real gun, when you have the technology that we have now, and you can make a fake gun look just like a real gun, I'm not seeing the advantage of having a real gun. I just don't. Now, some people might say, well, they want to hear it for the sound or the shot or the realisticness. But the truth of the matter is that they can engineer those sounds. They can put those sounds in and make them sound realistic. Just like when you play a video game. If you play a video game and you shoot off a gun, they can make the gunshot sound very realistic. Now, every time they do that, they're not sitting there shooting at a gun range when they do that. They could, right? They could record something from a gun range and bring that sound into the video game and it would sound realistic, or they could engineer that sound. They could do it in many different ways, but there is no need to shoot a real gun for every single live shot. That is not necessary. Now, when you look at the details of the story, one of the details that emerged is that the person who was in charge of the gun just said it was a cold gun when it really wasn't. Now, the second thing that's problematic about it is that the people who were in charge of the guns had gotten fired from a previous set because they mishandled guns. Now, I don't know how you would go and give a person responsibility to handle guns after they just been fired for handling guns. But then there's the third thing that I've heard, and that is that crew members are using guns that were on the set to shoot at targets that were off the set. I don't understand that logic. So you got crew members who just randomly taking shots at targets with guns that you're later using on the set. I just can't believe that you wouldn't, if you were going to use a real gun, that you would simply make sure that those two groups of guns were never the same. And then you get this fourth thing that is going on, and that is, why is the gun aimed at the camera? Now, that one is more easily explained because you want that shot almost like that 007 shot where he opens up the movie and the gun is pointing right at the camera. For somebody to do something like that, both the person who's holding the gun and the camera would have to be aiming it right at the person who's shooting the shot, right? But what I don't understand is, if you give somebody a gun, why wouldn't they check if the gun was good? Why wouldn't the person giving them the gun check if it's good? And why wouldn't the camera person have an incentive to say, hey, is that gun really? I got to see that for myself. Me personally, maybe because I'm black, maybe because I'm so skeptical, I would want to see that gun. I would want to see the bullets in that gun and see the chamber. I would want to see everything first before I let somebody aim a gun at me, even if it was so-called empty. I'm just not comfortable with that. So there's a lot of problems with this case. And there's another problem with the case, and that is that Alec Baldwin is also the producer of the film itself. So I want to see some media people ask some real questions about this, because these are the questions that I'm wondering, and they don't seem to be answering these kind of questions. And a lot of it is a reason, and this is more my point we're bringing up this story, is why I just don't trust the media. Because when you look at the media in this case, they all love Alec Baldwin, and you see them not asking these kind of questions. I really want them to ask these questions, and I'm not saying that Alec Baldwin needs to go to jail, but I am saying that he should be civilly liable, right? He's a producer. He's already had people on the crew at this movie walk off the set because of safety reasons. He hired somebody who had problems with the gun before. He had somebody yell out "cold gun" when they didn't even check the gun. And he had people on the set shooting guns at targets. There's a lot of problems. To me, that should be a lawsuit. I'm not one that's a big fan of lawsuits, but in this case, a lawsuit is certainly called for. So that's the Alec Baldwin story. If you got more comments or more information, please put some comments in the comment below. Like the video, share it. We Zeal Brothers, we're growing. We got over 240 subscribers now, and we're growing more. So join the team.